I think I figured out why my airplane is flying slower than it should be. Now, I noticed on the last couple of flights I did that I have what they call a heavy left wing. And that doesn't necessarily mean the left wing is heavier than the right wing, but it could mean that the ailerons are slightly out of adjustment. So this morning, I got up early and I removed the big access hatch that's on the bottom of the airplane because I wanted to adjust the push rod for the right aileron. I unscrewed the rod end one full turn, which lengthens that push rod and raises the trailing edge of the right aileron, and that should correct for that left heavy wing condition. Now, while I had the access hatch open, I wanted to look at my pitot static lines, because as you guys remember or know if you've been watching my videos, the airplane has been flying probably about 10 or 15 miles an hour slower in cruise than any other cruiser or the factory cruiser. So it's slower than it should be, and I couldn't figure out why. I've tried adjusting the propeller to different pitch settings, thinking that might help, and it really didn't help too much. It didn't really make too big of a change. So my only other thought was maybe the airspeed indicator isn't reading accurately. So I wanted to check my pitot static lines while I was in that access hatch, because right behind that hatch on the bottom of the fuselage, I mounted the AHRS unit for the dynon. That AHRS unit is an electronic box where the pitot static lines plug into, and that box converts that air pressure into an electronic signal, which sends it through a wire up to the dynon screen so that it can display the airspeed. When I tugged on I'm not sure if it was the pitot or static line, but when I tugged on one of them, it came right out of the AHRS unit. When I tugged on the other one, it didn't come out, but it felt a little bit loose. So I thought that was a problem. Those lines might be leaking, creating an inaccurate airspeed reading. So I pushed them in until they kind of click into place. And I can only guess that when I put them in there originally, I didn't get them to click in, or I didn't push them in far enough, because they really shouldn't work themselves loose. But either way, these were not in there and seated properly. So now with the pitot static lines in there and clicked into place and locked into place, I put the access hatch on and I went to go fly. But there's one other thing that I changed from the last flight to this flight that I did this morning, and that's the pitch on the propeller. Now let me kind of explain how this works. If you're not familiar, a lot of these kind of airplanes have a ground adjustable propeller, which means you can change the pitch of the propeller on the ground by loosening the propeller hub and changing the pitch and then tighten it back down. And the manual for my propeller states to start with 17 degrees of pitch. Now the propeller manufacturer doesn't know what airplane you're putting the propeller on or what engine, but it's just that 17 degrees is a starting point. But what I did previously was I measured with a digital level 17 degrees from vertical. But here's the problem I never thought about before. My hangar floor, probably like your garage floor, your driveway, or pretty much any concrete pad, slopes down, so that if it gets flooded or wet, the water flows towards the door and goes outside instead of flooding your house. So with the hangar door sloping down, or the hangar floor sloping down, and then also the way the engine is mounted in the airplane, it's mounted at kind of an angle down, or a nose low configuration. So when I was measuring 17 degrees from vertical, it wasn't 17 degrees on the propeller. I have no idea what the pitch would actually be. So when I thought about that, I put the digital level on the spinner backplate, and I zeroed that out as my zero reference point. Then I measured 17 degrees from there on each of the two blades. So now I know I have 17 degrees of pitch in the propeller. So I put it all back together and I went flying this morning, and I noticed it was about a 12 to 13 mile an hour increase in my cruise speeds. And I tried it at a couple different RPMs, and I didn't write anything down. I just wanted to go up and see if any of that made a difference. And the propeller probably didn't make too much of a difference, but I think clicking those pitot static lines in there made the biggest difference. So now I am going to go flying again and actually write down some numbers and see what kind of speeds I'm getting.
Caution.
Clear.
Caution. Cylinder head temperature. Cylinder head temperature. Cylinder head temperature. Cylinder head temperature.
Well, everybody, welcome to a Cruzer flight. This flight's going to be a little bit different than my other ones. I'm starting to gain confidence in the engine, so this is going to be the first flight where I'm leaving the local area. And Brian and I are going to head up to Owasso. He's going to be in his glass air. And we also have a direct crosswind on the runway. Now, the
Cylinder head temperature.
The ATIS in Flint says that the wind is 4 knots, but I can tell you it's a little bit more than 4 knots here. Flint is just 10 miles north of here. But I got to learn to fly the airplane in the wind sometime, so I got a little bit of a wind today. And then, like I said, this is going to be the first time I'm actually leaving the local area. We'll let the engine warm up a bit. The oil temperature is indicated right here. Right now it's at 95. I was going to say 95 miles an hour. It's at 95 degrees. I've got a GoPro out on the right wing this time. I've got a GoPro right behind me, and then Brian's got my other camera, which he can hopefully get some footage of me landing in Owasso. I told him before we head to Owasso, though, I'm going to go do a little bit of square patterns just to kind of see what the speeds are going to be. It might be a little bit bumpy today. I have a feeling it's going to be bumpy aloft, so I'm not sure. I don't want to go too fast in the bumps, but we'll see what we can do. All right, I got a crosswind from the left. I'll hold a little bit of left aileron, and here we go. .2880 is the RPM on climb out here. At 60 miles an hour, I'm doing 900 to 950 feet a minute, it looks like. There's 1,200 feet a minute. 3,300 is the max RPM on this engine. So if I took some pitch out of the prop, I could get more RPM on takeoff and get a little better climb, but you know, in this airplane, heck, 1,000 feet a minute is just fine with me. It's definitely a little bumpy out today. I'll bring the power back to 2,600 RPM as a cruise RPM. Got a true airspeed of 104, 105, 6, 7, 8. Indicated of 107, it looked like there. Now before, you know, this would be indicating about, oh, I don't know, anywhere from 85 to 95, I think it was. So it's definitely a little bit faster now. But then again, it's pretty bumpy out here too, so it's hard to tell exactly what it's doing. Indicating 102 right now. Well, it's going up and down a little bit, but yeah, the speeds are definitely faster than they were before. 2590 on the RPM. There's Brian, he's just departing runway 9 now. He's flying a glass air. His glass air is, you know, just slightly faster than my Cruzer. Only about 100 knots faster. Yeah, my indicated airspeed's bouncing around a little bit, but it seems to be around like 103, 104. True airspeed right now is 115. And now that I'm outside of Flint's Class C airspace, I'm going to climb up here a little bit.
Archer 2 northwest, wind and right.
I'll just add full power here. We're at 2930 on the RPM. I'm really starting to enjoy this airplane. I think with having these faster cruise speeds, I was kind of getting worried before that maybe something was wrong with the airplane, but I think I'm getting the proper speeds now. Right now I've got a true airspeed of 104. Before that was down at like, you know, 85, 90, something like that. You know, if I push the power up here, now I'm at a density altitude of 4,300 feet, but if I go up, let's say to 2,800 RPM, see what we get with this. Got to trim it down just a little bit. It wants to climb when you add power.
I've got a true airspeed of 112 right now. Indicated 108, 115 true. So I think that's, it'd be interesting to start, talking to other cruiser pilots and seeing what kind of speeds they're getting and what engines they have. Now I could also add maybe another degree of pitch to this propeller, maybe pick up a few more miles an hour in cruise. I might lose a little bit on the climb, but this thing climbs so well anyway, who cares? Ooh, little balloon. Ooh. Oh, what a great thing.
I hope you didn't film that landing.
Which one?
What?
Which one?
I know, which one? Right when I flared, I got like a gust of wind that lifted me up, and then we'll have to see how it looks on video. It didn't look pretty to me.
You were pretty far out at that point.
Here it is,
so,
the first time the Cruzer's been at a different airport other than the home base. So, nice little flight. A little bit bumpy, but
how do you feel about venturing away from the nest?
you know what? I wasn't nervous at all. I just kept looking for a place to land in case I needed it, but I don't know why I'm paranoid about the engine. I mean, it works great. I haven't had any problems with it, so.
Well, congratulations.
Well, we're here.
This is what the Cruzer looks like when it's not bouncing.
Well guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked the ride along in the Zenith Cruzer. It was really fun to actually take the airplane to another airport instead of just going up and circling around. So that was kind of cool. Wish I had some better landings, but that was the first time flying in some pretty gusty winds and a big crosswind. I didn't wind up doing you fly northwest south or northwest east south, and writing down the speeds at different power settings just because it was pretty bumpy and the airspeed was bumping up and down. I figure I'll do that another day, but I can tell that the airplane is noticeably faster than it was before, or at least it's indicating faster, or probably it's indicating accurately now. So that's it guys. If you like this video, if you like the content, please give the video a thumbs up. It does help. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and we will see you on the next video. I think we're on Saturday, we're flying up to Owasso again for breakfast. So if we do, come along with me.